Well, hey there, idiots. Welcome back to Observe. In today's video, we're going to be analyzing the nonverbal communication of a longtime YouTuber. Many of you probably know his name. It's Nikocado Avocado. It's been around a lot in the media for a little bit here. More on that in just a second. Let's go ahead and roll the intro first. Today's video is brought to you by Pia VPN. The internet is a fantastic place to learn, connect, and express yourself, but it also has its risks. With cyber criminals and malicious individuals looking to steal your information, it's essential to stay protected. If you're like me, you don't want your personal data exposed, and that's where Pia VPN comes in to help. Every time you browse online on an unprotected device, whether it's your phone or your computer, your tablet, or even your gaming console, your information can be intercepted before it reaches its destination. A VPN, or virtual private network like Pia, safeguards your data by hiding your IP address and encrypting your connection, protecting you from prying eyes that want to exploit that private information. Have you ever seen those public toilets that have fully glass walls that allow you to see everyone around you walking around, but to the outside observer, all that they can see is like a mirror? Well, browsing the internet without Pia is like using one of those bathrooms, but it's reversed. Everybody can see you inside there struggling with your business, and all that you can see is your perhaps slightly perplexed expression in your reflection. Private internet access, or Pia, not only shields your IP address and encrypts your connection, but it also protects your browsing from your internet service provider, network administrators, and even government censors. Plus, with one Pia subscription, you can protect all of your devices, whether you're on Windows or Mac or Android, iOS, Linux, the list goes on and you're covered. One account covers unlimited devices. But Pia isn't just about privacy. It also unlocks the full potential of the internet. Depending on your location, you might only have access to a small sliver of the web. Streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus offer thousands of titles, but due to regional restrictions, you can only see a small fraction of them. For instance, I happen to be a fan of the Harry Potter movies, but when I hop onto Netflix to try to watch any of them, I am met with only disappointment. However, by connecting to a Pia server in Australia, I conveniently have access to the entire series. Basically, trying to watch content online without Pia is like tuning into a 24/7 coverage, but only being able to see a fraction of the news exclusively from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pia helps you bypass these limitations by allowing you to switch your IP address to one of 91 countries or 50 US states, granting access to region-locked content. Now, for the subscribers here on Observe, by using my link, you can score an 83% discount on private internet access, just $2.03 a month, plus 4 extra months for free. Check out the description for my link, which is piavpn.com/observe, and take advantage of this offer today. Thanks again to Pia for sponsoring this video, and back to your regularly scheduled program. All right, for those of you who do not know, Nicholas Perry, better known as Nikocado Avocado, was born in Kherson on May 19th of 1992 and was adopted in infancy by an American family who raised him in Pennsylvania. He attended college for drama and art and eventually moved to New York City in 2013 to pursue his dream of playing in a Broadway orchestra. When that didn't work out, he started his YouTube channel, Nikocado Avocado, in May of 2014. While his earlier content was centered around vegan living, lifestyle vlogs, and musical performances, in 2016 he shifted the content over to filming mukbang videos. He became one of the first American men to partake in the trend, with his first mukbang video receiving tens of thousands of views in just a matter of a couple of weeks. His earlier mukbang videos showed his pet parrot sitting on his shoulder while he ate. People started growing concerned for his well-being as the content he was uploading seemed to be at odds with his health. Due to his sharp weight gain in the following years, many fans and viewers grew more and more concerned. In a 2019 interview, Perry said that he had only planned on creating mukbang videos for about a couple more years, and that it is very unhealthy. Along with this, numerous emotionally turbulent videos were uploaded by Perry that also led people to start to question the state of his mental health as well. In December of 2019, Perry was accused by another mukbanger of harassing her by sending her unwanted text messages and taking photos from inside her home. In response to the allegations, Perry published a video disputing her statements. During the video, he displayed the photos he took and argued that he had not taken any photos in secret and that everyone involved knew exactly what he was doing. He also showed their text conversations stating that the fellow mukbanger had stood him up for a scheduled collaboration. Despite further drama around the incident, including mentions of attempted legal action, Perry later said that they had faked the entire feud to benefit their careers. Fast forward now to May of 2024. Perry released a video to his second channel announcing that he was giving up his weight loss journey, telling his viewers that he had failed to lose a significant amount of weight within the past 2 years, though in footage, signs of weight loss were actually tentatively evident. Then, on September 6th of 2024, Perry revealed that he had indeed lost over 250 pounds in a video called 2 Steps Ahead, which gained over 26 million views in the first 48 hours and is currently sitting at over 46 million views in just under 3 weeks at the point of making this video. In the video, Perry states that he secretly lost the weight over the past 2 years and hid this fact by uploading pre-recorded content during that time, calling it the greatest social experiment of his entire life. At the beginning of the video, which we will be looking at today, Perry starts monologuing while wearing a giant panda mask, which he said symbolized the world of social media not being as black and white as it appears, but some also believe that it is a reference to earlier drama that he was involved in before. During the video, he attempts to convey that he was in control the entire time and simply wanted to prove that people will believe whatever you tell them. Ironically, people don't really believe him and are starting to ask some questions. Many are wondering if he's lying and hasn't lost the weight at all, masking it all using deepfake technology. Others are tossing around the concept that he has faked it all using AI in some way or another. To add to the confusion, Perry has uploaded more videos claiming that it was all faked, and still others saying that it wasn't, and that brings us to today's video. In today's video, we will be looking at his big release, his big comeback, revealing his weight loss, and some of the subsequent videos after that. We'll be looking at the nonverbal communication to see if he's leaking anything that helps add some context and clarity to what he's saying, because frankly, there's been a lot of mixed messages. I think that's enough of the backstory. Let's go ahead and jump right into the actual content itself.
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. This has been the greatest social experiment for my entire life. It's alluring. It's compelling, it's gripping to observe all these unwell, disoriented beings roam the internet in search of stories, ideas, rivalries, where they feel encouraged.
I'm gonna go ahead and pause here. So already this initial portion that we're watching, it's in front of a white screen or white wall, but he's not wearing white, so we're not getting into that manipulation of color, so to speak, that we've talked about in apology videos here on the channel. But something that immediately sticks out to me, one, obviously wearing a mask, so because of that, he is starting to amplify the rest of his nonverbal communication to still be able to act and display emotion despite having a mask. And with that knowledge in mind, that lets us know that this video is obviously extremely scripted. I don't think that anybody was really questioning whether or not it was scripted. It sounds scripted, it's delivered scripted, and what we're seeing is a very overt, overly saturated display of nonverbal communication. We'll do our best, especially when the mask comes off, but all of that being said, this is something that he has obviously rehearsed or at least scripted and sat down, maybe recorded once or twice before getting this video live to us on the internet. So we're working with these various lenses of things. He's also speaking at a specific pace. So we're hearing this pacing very, very intentionally slowly. It's almost, in my opinion, excruciatingly slowly. When I watched this video the first time through, I had to watch it on 2 times just to make it through the video because I was getting bored with how slowly he was speaking. So this is, again, another very intentional thing. And then with that, the register that he's speaking at, it's a lower register than his normal Nikocado Avocado character that he puts onto his channel normally. So we're seeing some disjointed nonverbal communication, both verbally and non-verbally. Let's see how that all plays out.
And engaged, where they involve themselves with the stories and become a product of influence. Thirsty for a distraction from time unspent, spoiling their minds, yet stimulating them at the same time. It's brilliant, and it's dangerous. I feel as if I'm monitoring ants on an ant farm.
I feel if I'm watching paint dry. But that being said, he's obviously captured the attention of millions of people. To have 46 million views within 3 weeks, less than a month, is astounding. Those are fantastic numbers, especially if you're wanting to possibly rebrand yourself. And that, I think, is a very important aspect of this that we'll talk a little bit more about as this video goes on. I need like a cup of coffee or something just to get through this intro because it's so slow. It's so slow. Oh.
One follows another, follows another, follows another. It's mesmerizing. It's spellbinding. All these little consumers, all of these lost and bored people. People consuming anything that they're told to consume. So I am the villain because I've made myself one.
Okay. Non-verbally speaking still, we're working through this lens of a fairly mediocre monologue in acting terms. There's not a lot of character dynamic to it, so we're just kind of getting this oversaturated dramatic tone from his nonverbal communication. But then what I'm left asking verbally is, what is he the villain of, per se? I'm not super certain what is painting him out to be a villain here. He did mukbang videos, and now it looks as if he's turned his life around, and that's a positive thing, sure. Like, anybody who can turn their life around to a healthier outlet is fantastic. What I'm left wondering is, how on earth does this make you on any level a villain? I don't know. For me, something that I wrestle with throughout the entirety of this video is the over-dramatization of everything. It doesn't seem to be necessary. If he had released this in any other way, people would have just been like, very good job at losing the weight that you wanted to. Very good job at turning your life towards a healthier avenue. Fantastic. But he's like, no, I am a villain, and I'm just watching all of these people do things and say things and whatnot, which, I mean, I feel like most of us watching can relate to on some level. You can watch everybody around you say and state things that you personally might know not to be true, but that doesn't make you a villain. That just means that you have more knowledge about specific things than other people do. And that's all that is happening here. He has more knowledge about his weight loss journey than everybody else does at this point of him making this video. That doesn't make him a villain. Non-verbally speaking, nothing to really glean other than he needs to work a little bit more on conveying a convincing character in this avenue of acting. Let's keep watching.
And you will continue to consume these stories about me, year after year after year, for as long as I tell the internet that I am the villain. Stories that permeate and linger and infect the minds of the ants, influence the ants, brainwash the ants. You are the ants.
What's he influencing? The most that he's influenced is he's generated a decent, and I mean a very decent amount of buzz about his return to the internet. Has he really influenced anybody outside of that with this specific video here? There are many, many, many hundreds of thousands of people that have very successful journeys in their health. And so for him to generate this amount of buzz around that, fantastic. His hyperinflating of his own effect on people around him is fascinating to me. And all of it seems to be centered around this. He wants to be in control and orchestrate the social experiment side of things. So what I'm gathering more and more as he's going through this extremely stilted, non-verbally, horrifically desynchronized monologue, all that I'm gathering is that perhaps he's really going to start now trying to shift his content to a different style of content, which would make sense contextually and realistically in the world that we live in today, is that he in fact wanted to take this new him, this new appearance, and shift his content around. Like, we have seen many, many people, many content creators want to rebrand, and that's usually for aspects of burnout or feeling like they're stuck in a rut and wanting to express more creatively, or wanting to bring more of their own personal life into what they display online. That's not unheard of. Countless YouTubers have done that before. So all of this weird, twisting, over-dramatized, I'm a villain and I'm manipulating you side of things, while on some levels is true, it's really not nearly as big a deal as he's trying to present it to be. His health journey deserves congratulations. We'll talk about some of the other theories around this as we go along and kind of disprove those as we go along, but for now, let's just keep trying. Let's keep trying to go through this extremely slow monologue.
Today I woke up from a very long dream. And I also woke up having lost 250 pounds off of my body. Yet just yesterday,
So non-verbally speaking, what I'm picking up on that's just it makes it more and more difficult for me to watch is the same things that make B and C rated films difficult for me to watch, is the overt level of desynchronization. You could see him speak, you could see him think, and then you could see him act, and they're all separate bubbles. None of them are happening cohesively. So that lets us know, one, it's very scripted, and two, he's not a very good actor. So he's trying to play off whatever part this is, but it's so mechanical and it's so disjointed. As he's saying a thought, then he looks, then he blinks, then he looks back, and it's that slow and it's that mechanical. And that's not how the human body has evolved over tens of thousands of years to communicate. We communicated non-verbally well before we communicated verbally, so non-verbally speaking, when we're communicating these emotional states, this level of disjointed, blocky, stilted communication doesn't exist, letting us know that this is all an act. Everything that he's putting on for us right here, as far as his emotional display and how he's presenting his mastermind effect of things, is all an act just due to his nonverbal communication. The centuries of evolution that point us in the direction of fluidity in our nonverbal communication really indicate that falseness in his. That being said, we've still got a fair bit of this left to go, so let's continue.
people were calling me fat and sick and boring and irrelevant. People. People are the most messed up creatures.
Okay, again, on an acting note here, he does a little attitude nod in there while he's talking about his irrelevancy, which makes sense, but then he has a pause, and then he goes into the little exhalation there mixed with the contemptuous smile. Now, that contemptuous smile, for those of you that do not know, contempt indicates a level of moral or intellectual superiority over the people you're speaking to or those you are surrounded by. It's the feeling that you know things that other people don't, and so he has that contempt smile come in there. Now, with organic contempt, that will start to creep in before the words often reflect it. So you would expect to see a little bit of contempt start to creep in before he says the statement that really sets it as to this contemptuous statement. Now, since he has that level mixed up, that lets us know that, again, this is desynchronized. Does he have a level of contempt around this? Absolutely. Is it to the degree that he's able to present here in the video? Highly doubtful. Non-verbally speaking, it really pushes me away from that rather than towards that. There is more that goes into that and everything that's surrounding this and perhaps more of the reality of the situation as opposed to what he's presenting to the internet, but we'll get to that in just a second. By just a second, I mean quite a few seconds, because right here, right now, as I'm recording this, my iPad decided that it has to indeed do an update. So right now's the time for an update, so please hold for God knows how long. And now we're done. We can now actually continue back into the video. So, wee-wee, let's do that.
People are the most messed up creatures on the entire planet. And yet I've still managed to stay 2 steps ahead of everyone.
Overinflated sense of self again there. Anybody talking about their health should be multiple steps ahead of anybody else, perhaps, except for their dietitian and doctors. Those people should know some things. So good job. Really, really well done on staying 2 steps ahead on your health. Also, that whole fun little factor of like, oh, human beings are the most messed up creatures on the planet really also kind of speaks towards his lack of knowledge of other creatures on the planet. There are some very, very difficult things to stomach out there on the planet. Human beings have their own special flavor for sure, but to say that we're the most messed up is questionable at very, very best. We're seeing multiple points of him overinflating his own self-importance and own ability to inflict control on the people around him, which is fascinating at very least, but we still have more left to go. Optimistically, the iPad won't update again in the middle of this.
The joke's on you.
I'm gonna go ahead and pause here. So that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of that entire monologue. His comeback to the internet is pretty much summarized there. Now there's this whole very long portion of him eating a dish of noodles, which you will see here in a little bit. I'm not gonna sit through and watch all of it because I have misophonia and listening to somebody eat food is, to put it lightly, extremely difficult for me to do. So I'm not gonna be doing that here. Needless to say, we're gonna fast forward through him eating this very large plate of food, and then he talks a bit at the end, and we'll talk about some of the physiological stuff that we see here that helps disprove some of the other theories that have been passed around.
Because they're kind of...
That was a lot of the video just eating food, which again is not at all different than the content that he was doing before, outside of him just displaying a different caricature to the internet, which everybody has a level of character that they fall into to record to the internet. So he's presenting these different characters in here, but outside of that, we're not really actually seeing anything different. So this evil mastermind that he's presenting himself out to be is just more or less that he lost some weight that he had earlier, and now he's doing the exact same thing that he did before. That's not a mastermind. That's not a broad plan. That's barely even a social experiment. But now we're going to talk about some of the physiological stuff that disproves things like deepfakes or AIs. Let's watch.
They're kind of like all spicy. If I rub them around too much, it might hurt. We did it. Look how red my lips got. Wow.
Interesting, right there. That's one of the things. So he's celebrating his finishing of a large plate of noodles. Good job. And now he's talking about how there was some spice to it. Now, the spice will obviously change our physiology a little bit. As we're exposed to those sorts of stimulants, things change, not the least of which is a flush. In deepfake technology, you can, and we've seen it in Hollywood movies, across the cinematic universe that exists today, you can fake a face onto another actor, onto another body, more or less. However, what comes into play very quickly in the consumer realm of deepfake technology is that deepfake technology is usually based off of a series of various videos or clips to be able to capture what emotional expressions play out on that person's face during the emotions being spoken of. So if the person, the face replacement body, is displaying a certain emotion, then the goal of the deepfake technology is to find a similar emotion in their repertoire, their catalog of faces from the person that's targeted, and replace it over to the person that is not actually that person. Now, the issue is when it starts coming into this physiological side of things. The flushing of his lips, for instance, his mouth, his lips change color from the beginning of the video to the end of the video. That doesn't exist in deepfake technology, at least not what's available to the consumer. To him, perhaps in a Hollywood production film, would he be able to achieve that level of change and finesse to the deepfake. But with what we have for our casual consumers today, that doesn't exist. You will maintain that same tone of skin regardless of what exterior influence, because the source material doesn't have that external influence. That pushes us intensely away from deepfakes. It's just simply not a realistic avenue as to what could be happening here. On top of that, there are other digital artifacts that will point towards a deepfake or away from a deepfake. Things to look at will be eye shine to see where certain light sources come from as opposed to where they don't. Other aspects will be whether or not the face stays stationary while other items come in front of the face. If an item comes in front of a face that's being deepfaked, oftentimes that will break the deepfake. It will make it to where the computer can't quite figure out where those facial features are supposed to go, so it will fall apart lightly. And this will be made evident through pixelation. This will be made evident through shiftiness of the features themselves and the details of those features, none of which exist even throughout his entire eating of a large plate of noodles. There were so many ample opportunities for that to show up and would have shown up if it were deep faked, but it doesn't here. Along with that, even though the computer technology that allows you to take one pattern of face and imprint it onto another, that doesn't translate to all the small, finer movements of muscles in the original face unless there is an overt amount of post-tweaking to that original deepfake, none of which has any continuity with the rest of his production value on his channel. It's fairly straightforward YouTube production quality, and so for him to then perhaps hire a Hollywood studio caliber editor and rent out the machines that would be required to do this intense and detailed of a deep fake all for this is extremely unlikely. I do believe that Nick, or Mr. Perry here, has indeed lost the amount of weight that he did. It's very difficult to say otherwise. So this isn't deep faked. He has lost that weight, but there's more complexity to go, so let's watch this.
Thanks for watching my black bean noodle mukbang, and I hope you enjoyed your food if you ate with me, which you should have, because that's what mukbang is supposed to be. That's what it was originally for, and that's what I'm trying to bring back to the internet. And I love being a mukbanger. I love food. I like eating food, and I like being here. So
Fascinating. So he's a mastermind that's not doing anything mastermindful. He started with a content and he's continuing a content with a weight loss journey in the middle. Evil mastermind, fantastic. While he's saying that he loves mukbang and he loves food, he looks away and he does a nose shake with a prolonged eye blink in there. So that leaves me questioning to some level, does he actually indeed enjoy this style of content? Is this actually what he likes to do? Or is this what he's found his niche as, and so he does it? And that, to me, is also still more indicative of the reality of the situation as opposed to what he's presenting it to be. We'll talk about it more. Let's continue.
So, let me know what you think. I guess that's it. Bye! Oh, I'll see you on my other channel. I'm gonna link it. There's another video out. Don't miss it. I'm gonna link it down below. I'll see you on over there. Bye.
I don't have. All right, so that's that entire thing. That's what the internet has been in upheavals about. 46 million views in 3 weeks. That's a lot. That's a lot of views. That's a lot of attention. That's a lot of buzz. Congratulations again to Perry for being able to generate that amount of buzz for a fairly mundane event. Although big in an individual's life, being able to turn your life around that way is a big deal, but it's not to this evil mastermind, I have manipulated millions of people level that he's trying to present it to be. So now we're going to be looking at a different video that he released after this video, trying to counteract that video, and yeah, let's just watch.
I don't have good news to share with you today. I'm actually really triggered. I made a YouTube video and I said, I'm 2 steps ahead. My whole life is premeditated. It's calculative. It's manipulative. My life has been a social experiment. Joke's on you. I'm actually really smart. And what was the result of that video? Millions of people believed it. Y'all have the IQs of a bag of rocks. I could literally dye my hair blue and say it's always been blue, and half y'all will believe it. Yes, because I just acted gaining 250 pounds. Who in their right mind does a social experiment gaining 250 pounds for 5 years in a row? Y'all are so stupid. We've all been played by this evil genius. Oh my God. I literally typed up a Batman monologue and read it. I'm scared for society, actually. Don't believe everything you're told, including from me. And yet y'all believed it. That's actually scary.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with this was obviously, again, in his timeline of things, he's presenting this as being recorded after his reveal. Now, the issues that I have immediately with this, one, non-verbally speaking and verbally speaking, he's very much nestled into his caricature of Nikocado Avocado, the very verbose, overt hands, everything like that, very projected, blah, blah, blah. That's going to muddy the nonverbal waters, so to speak. But what I like to be able to immediately call attention to is the quality of the camera that he's shooting on. It is obviously an older camera than the camera that he shot his reveal on. You could tell that through just the quality alone. There's less artifacting in the newer one. There is more artifacting in this one. So to me, that makes it extremely clear that this was recorded prior and that he then released it afterwards to just add more buzz around this. All that it took was a level of pre-planning of things. So with that, that does let us know. He did pre-plan this, at least to an extent, perhaps not to the full 2 years that he's saying, but he did pre-plan this enough to be able to release this video. Now, the fact that the big release reveal video was extremely scripted, that also supports that theory, so to speak, is that he knew he was going to do this release, and so he was able to plan it out on some level. It's a cool concept for a YouTube video. It obviously drummed up a lot of buzz across the internet for this reveal side of things, but it's also far from unrealistic. Along with that, he had a very large roughly 5 month break from his most recent upload to this big reveal. So there's a large portion of time that he was not present, and during that time, a person can lose a dramatic amount of weight. Now, whether or not it's healthily done or unhealthily done is not the purpose of this video, but it is fully possible to do, be it unhealthily or healthily. So even with that in mind, we're starting to have some clarity with this entire situation. This clip that we just watched is 100% simply a red herring. Now we're on to this last little clip here. We'll watch it, see what we see, and then we'll talk about some that aren't mentioned or shown here in the video. Anyway, let's continue.
Yes, it's really me. I am not AI. I am not a clone. I am a real person. And it's me. There are currently people taking my Instagram stories or my Twitter posts, pretending to be me. Anything you hear from them is not me. I've had a lot of feedback over the past couple of days. I would like to know how I can prove to you that I'm real. There are currently news agencies publishing articles about me being artificial intelligence. There's a video on TikTok with 15 million views saying that I am not real. How can I prove to you that I am real? What do you need?
That's the end of that clip. So again, speaking of the technology of deepfake, the fact that he is, I don't know why he recorded this in a shower and released it that way, but it looks as if he has been in a shower. His face is wet. Again, unless the source material has a level of that external influence on their frames, then the frames that are being generated are not going to have that interaction with things like moisture. So the fact that you could see on the end of his nose, the water is moving around as he's moving, you can see a little drip of it go down his face. Things like that all push me deeply and intensely away from the fact that it could possibly be a deep fake. Other things that back this idea, this concept of him actually having lost the weight, is that he has presented videos of him doing current day trending TikTok dances, and even in those he's saying, oh, it's fake, look around the edges. If you look around the edges, no, it's not fake. It's very, very clearly real, and even within the artifacting again of his face, it's all consistent and it is genuine. I do believe he lost the weight not only because of what we've seen here, but because of also one of the biggest factors for it is his Cameo, which those of you who do not know, Cameo is more or less you can pay famous people or well-known people or just people that you want to be able to say a specific thing about a specific thing. A lot of the times it will be used like, hey, I want to pay XYZ to say happy birthday to either myself or my friend, what have you. That's a really common scenario that's used for Cameo. His Cameo shows him regularly losing weight over the past few months. And again, he took a 5-month break. So for me, what I'm left with this, especially after observing his nonverbal communication and comparing some of the physiological things that can't be controlled via deepfake technology, I'm not even addressing AI because AI video generation is so far behind what this would have been that it's not even in question. You just go and look around and dig around, you'll see very quickly, while powerful and becoming better, steadily better, AI video generation is lacking dramatically when it comes to continuous long clips and keeping that continuity throughout the clips. It's not AI. That's not even an argument. It's not deepfake because of the smaller things that we're seeing, and it's all extremely over-dramatized as we saw non-verbally speaking. What that leaves me to believe, it feels like perhaps he did have a dramatic loss of weight. And that could have been medically induced, that could have been dietarily induced, it could have been a combo. What have you, we're not sure. That's that's the limit of his masterminding, is that he knows how he lost the weight. We don't really know how he lost the weight. We're all just happy for him. Kudos. What seems more realistic to me is that he has lost the weight. He had this specific journey of being Nikocado Avocado, the mukbanger who did extreme mukbangs in various ways, and now he's lost this weight and he's saying that he's this mastermind, social experimenter side of things. To me, it sounds like a very basic rebrand. New him, new content, new era of Nikocado Avocado. So that's what my thoughts are. Let me know yours in the comments of this video, especially if you know any other clips that help add some clarity to the situation. Perhaps I've missed something. Perhaps there's some sort of AI technology that I just don't know about. Perhaps there's some deep fake technology that I just don't know about. It doesn't stick with his quality that he has ever had on his channel before. I don't foresee that changing here. Maybe that's it. Maybe his new mastermind changeover is that he's going to show us how to do groundbreaking visual effects. Doubt it, but perhaps. So again, let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. Please go check out Pia in the description of this video. But without further ado, that's all I've got for the day. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome as you always are, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.